The twin moons of Ravis hung low in the sky, smoldering like dying embers against the dark firmament. The wind moved with the quiet hum of electricity, weaving through the black spires of the alien citadel. In the distance, the city, if you could call it that, pulsed like a living thing, obsidian veins glowing faintly beneath layers of ancient architecture. We had been here for 2 days, but it already felt like eternity. Our mission was clear: negotiate with the Kali Empire for peace, or prepare to fight a war none of us thought we would survive. I was Corporal James Cole, 1st Expeditionary Special Ops, called in as a protection detail for our diplomat, Dr. Evelyn Mercer. A woman with brilliance in her bones and ice in her veins. We called her Ice Queen behind her back. The irony wasn't lost on me as we waited in the presence of another queen, this one alien, actual royalty, actual predator. She sat atop a glistening throne of scaled metal, her armor half removed, hanging in plates like the petals of some nightmarish flower. Tall. Regal. Her skin a luminous pale blue that shimmered as if layered with fine powdered starlight. Eyes like twin nova cores. She was terrifying. And mesmerizing. It took everything in me not to look too long. "They're stalling," Evelyn whispered beside me. "They want us to tremble." "Are we not?" I replied, eyes glued to the Queen's hollow gaze. The throne room was vast, a cavern of glowing circuitry, fractal shapes shifting upon the walls like living sigils. Guards stood in rigid rows, their weapons humming with silent menace. The air was stale. Charged. Electric. "We should leave," I muttered through my calm to Lieutenant Parker, monitoring from our ship above. "No," Evelyn said sharply, turning to face the Queen. "We hold until she addresses us." As if summoned by her words, the Queen shifted in her seat, slow, deliberate, feline. She gestured, and a ripple of silence washed over the room. Then she leaned forward. The room dimmed around her, save for her brilliant form. "Human." The word rolled out, ancient, precise, her voice like layered harmonics that seemed to vibrate in my bones. "You stand far from your stars." "Why?" Her gaze fixed on Evelyn. "For survival," Evelyn replied. "Yours and ours." Another ripple of silence. Then the Queen rose, her armor parted further, revealing something organic beneath, musculature like woven light. She moved toward us, each step purposeful, silent, lethal. Her guards did not so much as stir. Evelyn stepped back, nearly imperceptibly, but I saw it. She was terrified. "I am Kaler," the Queen said, stopping a mere foot away. "Pre-March of the Kali. Warden of the Starlight Vale. And I tire of your words." She lifted a hand, and her armor rearranged itself with a shimmer. One piece fell, landing with a metallic chime, and slid across the floor, to my feet. I picked it up instinctively. It was warm. "You," she said, pointing at me. "Fix this. Speak no more." She walked away from Evelyn without a glance. I hesitated. Evelyn's eyes burned holes in the side of my face. But this wasn't a negotiation anymore, it was something else. Something older. Something primal. I followed. Kaler disappeared behind a curtain of drifting scales that hung like a curtain of cosmic mist. I swallowed the fear in my throat and stepped through. Her private chamber was a dark cathedral of alien craftsmanship. Translucent membranes moved like breathing walls. The air crackled with raw energy. Kaler stood there with her back to me, armor half removed, revealing her exposed back crisscrossed with bioluminescent patterns etched into her skin, like constellations woven into flesh. "You stare like a child," she said without turning. "I've never seen anything like this," I said, stepping closer, the piece of armor in hand. "Or like you." She turned abruptly, towering over me. I froze. "Do you fear me, soldier?" "Yes," I said, voice steady. "But I also respect you." Her lips quirked. I couldn't tell if it was a smile. Her fingers lifted, brushing near my jaw but not touching. "You carry death in your hands. I feel storms on your skin. Yet you stand instead of kneel. Curious." My heart hammered. I knelt to inspect her armor piece. It was some kind of interlocking module. It had been damaged, perhaps during battle. I studied the edge. It was clean, almost too perfectly cut. You had an encounter, I said. Your species calls them assassins, she said calmly. My sister sent one. The weight of that sank in. The Queen's own sister wanted her dead. She leaned down, eyes locking onto mine. You came seeking peace, James Cole. But peace does not exist here. Only balance. And power. She turned her armor toward me, revealing where the piece was meant to be fixed. I held it up, aligning it carefully with the organic mechanical mesh beneath. As I worked, she watched. Silent. Intense. The proximity was intoxicating. You think you understand war, she said. But you know nothing of the wars fought in bloodlines. I don't need to understand it, I said as I attached the plate. I only need to prevent it. Her head tilted. That is not humility. That is arrogance. Yet, your hands are steady. Her armor clicked back into place. The piece pulsed once, then integrated seamlessly. She caught my wrist before I could pull away. Don't be shy, soldier. Her voice was a whisper now, warm against my ear. You and I may yet rewrite the fate of worlds. I left the chamber with my pulse racing, uncertain if I'd made an ally or a doom. Evelyn was waiting. Her expression was a storm. What happened? She demanded. She's not like anyone we've ever negotiated with, I said. She's playing a deeper game. Then play back, Evelyn said, cold resolve settling in her posture. We didn't come here to be bent. The chamber doors opened. The guards knelt. And Kaler's voice echoed, loud, regal, resonant. We accept Earth's offer of parley. Begin the accords. The galaxy held its breath. And I wondered, had I just become the hinge reality would turn upon? Ravis's dawn was a slow bleed of color, leaking across the horizon like a wound. The alien citadel cast its jagged shadow across the plains, and from our vantage point, it looked almost mythic, a monolith built on the bones of secrets. We were halfway through the accord negotiations. Truthfully, we were winging it. Kaler remained an enigma. Dr. Evelyn Mercer had the mind for diplomacy, I had the body for threats. But neither of us had a plan for an alien queen who flirted with war like a game of seduction. She was a blade wrapped in silk, every word calculated, every glance purposeful. And she kept looking at me. The second night, I found her waiting. Cole, she said, the light of the moon's glinting off her armor. Walk with me. We left the citadel, descending marble steps that seemed to melt into the landscape. Below, the city was alive. Kali moved in shimmering crowds, their forms loosely humanoid but with fluid, glowing veins coursing beneath their skin. Your people are restless, I observed. They are always restless, Kayla replied, her eyes fixed ahead. The true measure of power is whether they fear you more than they hunger. And do they? I asked. She smiled, a sharp thing. They would rather devour me than obey me. They would rather burn the galaxy to spite a wound. We reached the edge of a vast pool, bubbling gently, the surface dotted with floating light orbs. This is where rulers are tested, she said. In heat. In reflection. In silence. She gestured for me to approach the water with her. I am. But perhaps neither is new for you. She turned sharply, eyes narrowed. You are not what I expected, James Cole. Humans usually flinch beneath the weight of inevitability. Maybe I'm just too damaged to flinch anymore, I said quietly. Her expression shifted. For the first time, I saw something almost human. Understanding. Recognition. She stepped into the water. It hissed and steamed around her, glowing. Come, soldier, she said, extending her hand. Face your reflection beside mine. I hesitated, but only for a heartbeat. The water was warm, almost too warm, and it lit up around me as if responding to my presence. We stood side by side, knee-deep in plasma, our reflections merging in the surface like twin flames. "Tell me," she said, voice lowered. "What haunts your sleep?" "War," I said. "The one I fought. The one I can't stop dreaming about. The one I don't want to see again." "And yet here you are," she pressed. "In another war. Maybe I'm too stupid to stop fighting." "No," she whispered. "You're too honest." Her fingers brushed my forearm, electric, burning. The water around us pulsed in response. "I have killed people I loved," she said suddenly. "Not because I wanted to. But because if I didn't, everything else would have fallen." "You think I don't understand that?" I said, voice thick. "I've lost more than I care to count." She turned toward me, fully now. "Then you must understand this: if anyone seeks my throne, if blood must spill again, I will not hesitate." "And what if that someone is close to you?" I asked. Her eyes went cold. "There are no close in power. Only proximity and vulnerability." "Sounds lonely." "It is," she said, voice barely more than a breath. "But perhaps." A sound cut through the air. The water boiled. The ground shook. And a ripple of light burst from beneath the pool. Kaler's hand shot out, pushing me back just as something emerged. Something fast. Something deadly. A figure like her, but darker. Leaner. Armor etched in serrated lines. Eyes burning red. "Sister," Kaler hissed. Everything snapped into slow motion. The assassin lunged, not at Kaler, but at me. I grabbed for the nearest weapon, Kaler's own discarded armpiece. Powered. Dense. I swung, caught the assassin square in the neck. The impact reverberated through me. She staggered. But only for a moment. Then Kaler was in motion. A blur, speed and fury incarnate. The sisters collided in a flash of light and sound, weaponized energy crackling against energy. I backed away, one arm singed, breath ragged. Finally, Kaler's blade met its mark. The assassin fell to her knees, blood that glowed like molten amber spilling into the pool. "Sariel," Kaler whispered. "Why?" "To cleanse the dynasty," Sariel hissed, breathing shallow. "To preserve our purity." "You, let them in." She looked at me. And smiled. "You will burn for this, human." She collapsed. Kaler stood over her, chest heaving. And then she turned her gaze on me. But it wasn't anger. It wasn't grief. It was resolve. "We end this now," she said, stepping out of the pool. "With Earth." The accords ended at dawn. A new agreement, light years from what we came for. Defense. Scientific alliance. Cultural exchange. Coexistence, and trust, if not peace. As our ship ascended, I watched Ravis grow smaller below. Kaler watched from her balcony alone, her armor repaired, gleaming in the sun. Her voice echoed in my head, the last words she'd spoken before I left. "Perhaps we were both too much fire. But fire, soldier, leaves the deepest marks." She raised her hand in farewell. And when the stars swallowed her world from sight, I realized something had changed. Not just on Ravis. In me. And in the space between us.